Hey guys, it's Jay here and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about which products you should and shouldn't sell on Amazon. And this video is probably going to be going against the grain of what everybody else recommends you to do. So maybe it would be a good thing for you to be here and take it through this method, okay? So first, we're going to kick things off as always, all right? So number one, easy products lose money. And you might be saying, well, Jay, it seems like what is easy products, because everything on Amazon or everything to get started as a beginner on any business is hard to do. And trust me, I know, but this method is a lot easier than when it comes to building a business and looking at the scalability and the different, chaotic things when it comes to growing in Amazon in the industry, okay? So here are the two paths that people take when they get started, and one is very right and the other one is very wrong, and you're going to see it as I continue to unfold it throughout the video, okay? So number one, the beginner approach, okay? The beginner approach chases familiar big brands. Now you guys might recognize these, right? We have Nike and we have Adidas. These are the brands that you see pretty much if you search up Amazon FBA on Twitter or X or on Instagram, Facebook, anything, even YouTube out there and online. People are going to tell you how you can build this massive business about, selling Nike and buying it from a retail store at discounts and Adidas. And, maybe you could make a few bucks, right, selling these products and buying them from a, Kohl's and a really good discount and coupon. But how scalable and sustainable is that, right? And for the most part, that is such a competitive market. You can't even imagine how many people are just on these websites scanning on a daily basis, looking for coupons, deals, just to make this potentially work, right? They're not working with Nike themselves or even a distributor. They're just working with one of the retailers that they can try to get a discount or a coupon for. And that is very deafening, you could say, for beginners or people just getting started, because how can someone who's just getting started in the business, even 6 months in, compete with someone who has a full team just scaling and going through these catalogs and trying to see what works? And who even wants to do that, right? For the next year, 2 years, 5 years, I don't care how much money it can bring to the business, all right? So that is something very, very common when you first get started, because that's what you see on YouTube and that's what you want to do day one, right? But it's wrong, all right? So everyone piles in, and not just you, right? And not just other sellers who are currently selling on Amazon, other people who are watching these videos, other people who are on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and say, wow, that's a great idea. Let me open up a selling account and start doing that, right? And you can see how that's kind of impacted just, e-commerce or just the reselling industry in its whole in the past few years. So many people doing it, it makes it tougher and tougher and tougher, but I never once done it, right? And it's going to make sense in the beginning, right? Now, what happens is a price war starts, right? So a price war essentially means there's so much competition, right? On an Amazon listing, we're all reselling the same product, but I want my inventory to get sold. I don't want your inventory to get sold because that doesn't make me money. So I'm going to lower my price. And what happens? John lowers his price. Jack lowers his price. Sally lowers her price. And then the price just keeps going right on to the bottom. And maybe there's not enough, monthly volume or demand for the product. And we just take it right to the bottom. And here's a prime example that I want to show you guys. So this is a Keepa chart of what you're seeing here, which is basically the go-to software when it comes to building an Amazon business. And that's Keepa. You need it. It's $20 a month, but it should be worth $200 a month or more or something like that, okay? But what you're seeing here on this bottom chart is a little blue line that looks like it's just trending up, right? Like a stock. And typically in the stock world, this is really good. But in the Amazon world, it's terrible, okay? This means that the seller count is just going up on a ladder, right? On the stairs, going up and up and up. And this middle chart tells you the volume, what the demand is. Now, you can't see the numbers here, but it was basically 50 sales per month to 100 sales per month to now 200 sales per month. So at least the demand is going up, but the seller count is just skyrocketing. And now look what happens to the price here. This last chart is the pink box, which is the price, and it just skyrocketing down. Now, again, you can't see the numbers here, but it was going down by, $5, $6, $7, $8 plus, which is typically everybody's profit. So all of these sellers who are buying right around here, even right over here, are just all continuing to lose money on this listing. So you're spending your time buying this inventory, whether it's from Nike and this common product, and you're sending your inventory in, then you're waiting for it to sell, you're hoping that it sells. Oh wait, but then you have to change your price 10 times, you have to keep bringing your price down, and now you just created yourself the worst nightmare ever. And that's what a lot of beginners do when you first jump onto the marketplace or jump onto Amazon. And what a lot of people do is they'll do this, they'll jump on one of these listings, they'll make no money, or they'll actually sell for a loss or a very little profit, and they'll say, this doesn't work, and I'm going to stop doing this business. And I've seen this so many times, and I never see it get called out. I just keep continuing to see, Nike get pushed, and Adidas and beauty brands and common stuff that basically everybody can possibly think of, okay? Now, what happens here is big sellers win. So if there's big sellers on these listings who are buying wholesale or from the brand, they win because their buy cost is half the cost of what everybody else is selling for. So they don't care. They'll just drive their price right to the bottom where you lose a lot of money. And eventually you'll have 10 units or 15 units. It'll eventually sell out and they'll just sit there and they'll wait to collect all the profits and then bring the price back up. And you can't afford to do that because you're a beginner or you're just really starting to grow the business and you need your inventory in and out. So the big sellers win. And you might be thinking, well, let me just get, hooked up with a brand or a wholesaler. And it's easier said than done, right? It's really hard to build that relationship. You need to have thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands. And it's a completely different business model, basically, all right? And even worse, no one wins, okay? So if there are no big sellers, or even if there are big sellers who have a decently profitable price, well, nobody wins because we're all going to be selling at a loss. And if you're not selling, you're waiting for the price to come back up, and you might be waiting all life long, all right? It might never come back up. The price might just be fixated there at the bottom, and now you're stuck with a low product, a low selling price product, and now you're losing a lot of money, or you're just having your inventory sit at Amazon and just waiting to get sales. And where your inventory is sitting, that is no business. That's basically just a holding business, all right? You're not making any money when your inventory just sits and it sits dead, okay? So this is the truly beginner way with somebody with no information, just watches a video or watches, a guru, if you want to call it, and thinks that it's a great idea to start doing that, right? And that's the losses for small sellers. Now, the real way to do the business, and I've been doing this right when I started, okay? Not when it was common or popular. It's still not popular, all right? And I didn't have a lot of money or whatever it may be. And this truly is the smart approach, okay? And this is what you're gonna do step by step, and it's not crazy or out of the ordinary, all right? So you're gonna find small US brands. You can even creep into Europe and other brands that are outside of the country, but it's a little bit harder to buy in bulk because you're waiting on the inventory coming overseas and it can take a long time. But you're gonna find small US brands. And I wanna show you an example, right? Have any of you guys, I surely never have, heard of this potential brand, NGK spark plugs, right? No, it's a really niche product. It's spark plugs. I don't really know what it is. It's a smaller brand. It could be based overseas. It could be based in the US, but you want to be focusing on smaller US brands you could potentially build a relationship with. And now that's going to make a lot of sense in the beginning, okay? So you're going to skip the famous brands. Remember, like we talked about here a little bit earlier about Nike and Adidas and the big brands that everybody thinks about when it comes to reselling? No, we're going to skip those. I've never once in my life, I'm not even allowed to sell Nike or Adidas on Amazon. I'm still gated because I never applied. I never even cared because there's just no point of doing it. It's a race to the bottom, right? So skip those famous brands. You want to check the Amazon listings and you want to have everything to check out with the listings. All right. You want to make sure that there's a low seller count, smaller sellers, smaller competition, making sure that the volume is stable, right? Because we're selling a brand that doesn't really have that obvious demand. It's not CeraVe, it's not Nike, it's not Adidas, it's not something that we know that no matter what, even if an asteroid hit the earth, that it's still gonna sell, right? It's a smaller brand. So we want to verify the demand over time that, okay, it's still gonna sell well, it has low competition, not a really big seller, the brand's not on the listing. Everything has to check out when we're verifying this listing. And again, you want to use Keepa to do that, all right? Keepa's a really good resource for it. Now, here comes the trick. Here comes the Joker card behind the back. It's emailing suppliers, and I don't mean suppliers as wholesalers or brands. It's small retailers, okay? So you're literally going to be using an email. I use privateemail.com just because it gives you a .com email, but Gmail does the same thing, and there's hundreds of other providers out there. Now, again, you could just use a Gmail as well. It's just a little bit more professional to use a .com email. Gmail is totally fine. You might get a few less responses from a supplier because remember, they have to worry about you being legitimate as well. If you're going to spend $1,000 or $500 at the store in one order, most retail customers are spending $20 or $30 or $40, so they can live with one order going wrong. But $500, they have to make sure you're trustable, right? So you're trying to build a little relationship there. And again, it's not a wholesaler or a brand. You don't need to have an LLC, EIN number, tax permit, all these different things. You're literally just sending an email like you do on a daily basis. Hey, can I buy your product in bulk? If you get a thumbs up, awesome. If they say thumbs down, okay, you just continue the process of sourcing, okay? So again, when I send an email via a .com email, it's just a little bit easier to get a response, but it's not the end of the world if you have a Gmail. It works completely fine as well, especially in the early days. I didn't have a .com email, all right? Short message, okay? Just something short and sweet. You don't want to have a long message that tells them all about your business and what you're doing and why you're reselling and what your passion is. Like, that's all kind of nonsense. The retailer really doesn't care about that. You just want to tell them, hey, I'm interested in buying this product XYZ and I want to buy it in bulk. and that's it. You don't want to ask them for a discount. You want to ask them for anything else, verification or anything like that. You just want to make sure that you can buy the product in bulk, and you have to go through the process through Trustpilot, through Google reviews, making sure that they are indeed legitimate. Okay. Now, you want to start with small orders, okay? And when I say small orders, I don't mean 5 units or 10 units. If you get verification from the supplier that they're legitimate and they supply in bulk, and the listing sells 100 times a month or 200 times a month, it doesn't mean you want to go right in for the kill, okay? You still have to verify they're legitimate by bringing the inventory inbound and making sure the inventory is legitimate, or making sure that their process is smooth, fast shipping, they stick to their price, the product's authentic, whatever it may be, everything is legitimate. So maybe you want to order 30 units or 40 units. Now, of course, you could do 10 units or 20 units on your first order too. That's totally fine as well. If you're kind of, trying to thread the needle on capital and money and making sure that you're spending a good amount of money. But also, it's good to kind of build that little relationship with 20 units or 30 units. And again, not 100 units. Eventually you'll get there, but you don't want to just kick off with 100 units, okay? And you want to test the demand. When I say testing demand, we know, right, based on our Keepa chart right here, we know that it sells 200 times a month or 100 times a month, right? Whatever the Keepa chart tells us, once we master that, I have a ton of videos on it, you know how well it performs. But when I say test demand, that means how well are you going to sell this product, right? Because that's what we care about. We don't care about how anybody else does and performs on this listing. We don't care how Jay does. We don't care how Brian does or Sally or whatever it may be. We want to see how well your units sell. And that's the final check of testing demand. You could look through everything. You could look through Keepa. You could look through the Amazon listing, SellerAmp, all the softwares out there that have tons of videos on. But the last thing to check is to send your inventory in, and how does your inventory, Jay La Rosa, perform on this listing? So that way, all right, no more small orders. I'm going to get a bulk order of 150 units or 120 units, right? As long as you have enough capital and money to do so, and you're staying, diverse across the products. But that's what you want to do, all right? Now, when it comes to smaller brands, we have fewer sellers or typically fewer competition sellers, okay? And there's kind of 2 ways to really look at things, right? We have one listing that has, 5 sellers, but it has all those sellers have massive, 10,000 reviews. And we have another one that has, 10 sellers, but all those sellers have 10 reviews. One of these you don't even touch, and the other one you attack at full speed, okay? Because if you have a listing with really, really big sellers, a lot of reviews, Amazon will never trust you, who's just getting started or growing, even at 100 reviews, right? Even me at my stage, right, doing this for 4 years now, I will never compete with a seller who has 10,000 reviews or 100,000 reviews, because I will get 0% of those sales, even if I'm cheaper than they are, okay? Because Amazon's gonna give the buy box to the person that they trust. Now, you might be saying, well, this is doomed, then I'll never sell on Amazon. But there's millions of listings out there that it's all completely small sellers. And that's what you wanna target, okay? You don't wanna target competing with the big ones. And these smaller brands typically don't really have those massive sellers on there. Some of them will, of course, and maybe have a relationship with the brand, but a lot of them are free game, right? They're opportunity, okay? Now, what does this get you to? Repeatable orders. All right. So if you were sitting here working with a big brand, working with a big supplier and whatnot, you would be just sitting here on, whatever software or website it is, and just order every single day, every other day, whatever it may be, just to get all of your orders in. And it's a little bit hard, right? And eventually those products, what do? They tank, right? So remember, like we talked about the Keepa, that pricing's coming down, that seller count's going up. A lot of those big brands, that's exactly what happens. I've been on a lot of them, right? So I know I've been doing this day one, but I've always, I've done a lot, right, on the marketplace. So I've seen these products, I've sold these products, and it sucks, right? You kind of hole in the bag, as they say, and it's terrible, right? But these repeatable orders, by just reaching out to the supplier, buying in bulk, doing it again next month, these leads last very, very long, right? A lot of my leads last more than 6 months, more than 9 months, more than a year, right? Because I'm just, I'm selling on good listings, right? A lot of those listings you see that are quick hitters, Nike, unless it's, Thanksgiving or Christmas or a seasonal deal, you're not getting that profitable time over time again. I can guarantee you, all right? Now, here's one of the biggest things when it comes to doing this method, and you're going out for smaller brands. You have a retailer relationship, not a wholesaler relationship, a retailer relationship, right? So here's an email, or basically a writing, I've kind of screenshotted the email, that a retailer who I have worked with in the past has sent to me, and I want you guys to read this out loud to yourself and just hear the opportunity that comes with this, okay? The retailer responds to a message that I sent because I said that we're no longer looking for this product. Okay, keep me posted. What about XYZ product? Had to block it out. I heard the prices are heading out of control on these. Guys, this is a retailer. This is not a brand, not a distributor who wants me to buy their products. It's a retailer. Now, the retailer is telling me, hey, this product didn't work for you. You're a good customer. What other products work for you? Have you heard about this product? right? Seriously, read out that aloud to yourself, because this shows how much opportunity there is when it comes to reaching out to somebody and potentially getting other products that they carry in their catalog from that brand or different brands. I can't count how many times through my entire career on Amazon that I've reached out to a supplier, have bought the product, have done it for 3 months, and then eventually I ask them or they tell me, hey, what else works for you? And now maybe I can look through their catalog, maybe I can get discounts on products, maybe I can get 2 to 3 products. It's basically doing wholesale without going through the headache of going through wholesale, okay? It's an unbelievable opportunity, right? Now, like I said, that limits and eliminates constant orders. You can do this on a monthly basis. Now you have a little bit of a relationship with the supplier. You can kind of trust them a little bit in their process and how well they communicate and whatnot. And this is easily scalable from 10 hours to 10 hours a week. Okay, of course you can do 5 hours a week, but I don't want you guys to walk away from this video and say, great, I can work 10 hours a week and grow $1 million Amazon business, right? Yeah, maybe you could in 4 years or 5 years if you have enough capital and money to spend into it, right? But in the early days, I was grinding. I was doing 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week, just product sourcing and learning how the business starts. But you don't have to do that, because you can watch videos like this and learn a lot quicker than I did. I was doing everything by failure and not knowing what the heck I was doing, right? But it's easily scalable because you're not always ordering products every day. You're basically just sending emails and having supplier relationships and communication and keeping things a lot more easier and smooth than it would be on the other end, all right? Now, use a prep center. So this is kind of like the last piece to the puzzle when it comes down to it. As you probably know, the prep center does all the labeling for the products. So the product process goes from supplier to prep center to Amazon, all right? So if you want to keep yourself out of it, if you want to do the business remote, if you live in an apartment like this one, or if you are traveling all the time, I travel very frequently, you can't be just sitting in your house prepping products, dealing with boxes and cutting tape, right? That's kind of ridiculous. So you want to use a prep center. The cost is very cheap. It makes up for it. It's per unit. You can just see here, I just searched up prep centers in New Hampshire. It's really easy to find one. There's thousands of them out there nowadays, all right? You have to obviously trust them and build a relationship, but you want to go from, small retailer buying in bulk to a prep center, and then you want to go to Amazon, and that creates a sustainable Amazon business, okay? That's the entire flywheel when it comes to avoiding what everybody else says, right? Blue ocean strategy with, Nike and the big brands and, the big retailers like like Kohl's and whatnot, and actually going with the smaller brands, smaller retailers, using a prep center and just keeping this scalable and actually feeling like a true business, not a reselling gig on eBay out of this, okay? So there's the entire wraparound overview when it comes to don't selling this, actually sell this. And I hope you guys like this video. I'm going to be making one every single day pretty soon, so that way I can keep the pace and the consistency for you guys to learn. And as always, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to be keeping these more and more consistent as ever. So I'll see you guys in the next one.